What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Shawn Porter and Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford, of course, he has responded to Shawn Porter. Here's the backstory. Shawn Porter has become the WBO mandatory, which is great news. Okay, and he's expressed quite in great interest in fighting Terence Crawford. And he said that, hey, I want to fight Terence Crawford. He's wanted to fight Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford in the past haven't really expressed his feeling to fight Shawn Porter simply because he's not a champion, right? It's strap season for Terence Crawford, like it's always been in every other weight class he's been in. That being said, he is now the mandatory, just like Mean Machine was the mandatory, right? Okay, good stuff. So he's the mandatory, and Bob Arum states, okay, I'll give him $1 million fight person. We can get that fight happening right now. Or what he can do, what Shawn Porter can do, is allow Al Heyman to let it go to purse bids since it is a mandatory, and see who would win from that, and see how that the chips may fall. Okay. Now Terence Crawford did say, he said, well, hey, sign the contract to be the mandatory, which he's already the mandatory. So sign the contract to fight, and I will ultimately stop Shawn Porter. So that's Terence Crawford's words. He didn't really believe, again, he didn't believe that, or didn't even think of Shawn Porter like that. Shawn Porter's a good, upstanding individual. I think he's one of the welterweight faces, really the face of PBC. He has this squeaky clean image, you know, good family man, very humble, you know, speaks well, and he is the commentator of that show inside the PBC. Now, since he is the mandatory and the purse bids are even, and I've done my research on Shawn Porter, okay, one of the biggest fights that he's received, fight purses, as of late, has been for $2 million when he fought Errol Spence, and they both got $2 million apiece. Okay, from that, Formella was 1.3, and the Yordenis Ugas fight, it was 1.3. Actually, the Formella fight, he made 1.2. So, you know, Bob Arum, what he's offering them ain't just off the chain. It ain't really a huge lowball number. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like to me, a lot of these guys, or a lot of these networks, they want so much money to be put up forth and up front because it is from another promotional company. If he's the mandatory, okay, take the $1 million, let's stop all the drama and get the fight happening. Because Terence Crawford, I believe, and Shawn Porter would be a hell of a fight. And him saying that he'll stop Shawn Porter is a hell of a statement. Think about who we're talking about. We're talking about Sean Showtime Porter here. We ain't talking about no scrub. We ain't talking about no guy that's been stopped. We ain't talking about no guy that got beat up or bullied. We're talking about a guy that gives each and everybody, including the fighters that he lost, a run for them damn money and fight you tooth and nail. That's what we have when you're dealing with Shawn Porter. So Terence Bud Crawford saying that he will stop Shawn Porter, that I got to see. And I'm not doubting him. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is no one has been able to do that, including Errol the True Spence, Counterpunch. Errol caught him with that left hook, but I seen him really losing if he wouldn't have dropped Shawn Porter. And it was kind of like, you know, it was a good punch that he landed, but it wasn't like a knockout blow. And it shows you how tough Shawn Porter is, because he's took punches from Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, okay? And the list goes on. Brooke, you name him. He's took him. He's fought him. He has one of the best resumes in the welterweight division, okay? And he's fought these guys in a tough, hard, grueling fight because he makes it like that. He's that type of dude that goes and gets you, all right? So let's make this fight happen. And I, at first, when I heard Bob Arum, I'm like, oh, shit, Bob's lowballing these guys, so the fight won't get made. Here we go again. But based on these guys' resume, I think it is lowballing simply because if you want to give $1 million to Shawn Porter, right? You want to give $1 million for the former welterweight champion Shawn Porter on the behalf of Terence Crawford, and you already know that Errol Spence and Shawn Porter have both made $2 million, I think cheap-ass Bob should come forth and fork over another $1 million. Counterpunch. That's what I believe.
Yeah, Cody.
Because it's going to be hard for people to say, oh, well, Terence Crawford is the A side. When he fights Errol Spence, he gets $2 million. You wouldn't say that shit if fighting Joshua, you get 5, and then fighting Deontay, you get 3. You know what I mean? It's hard to really argue that Deontay's the bigger draw than Joshua because you got more money fighting Joshua. So if he gets more money fighting Errol Spence, what's the real big argument? Bob Arum needs to take his head out of his ass and give these fighters this money, especially if it's a mandatory decision, and especially it's an ex-champion like Shawn Porter. And I don't think Shawn Porter is faded. Oh, no. Hades, no. I don't think that's the case. Right? Now, I will say that because I don't think Bob Arum will do that, I think what should happen is they should go to purse bid. So the fair thing to do is get at least the 25% of the purse. Okay? That's what I think. However, that fight should happen, and that should be the next fight. Why? Because Terence Crawford knows he needs another opponent. That's why he knocked out Brook, because there was no other opponents. He needs to tap inside the PBC, break the wheel, break the mold, break the narrative that PBC fighters only fight PBC fighters. And so if a PBC fight becomes available, take that shit. Show your worth. He's 32 years of age. He needs to get on the ball because he has that gift. He's a special type of fighter, and he doesn't have time to waste. So he needs to show those special skills while he still can in his prime. So let's go to purse bid. Let's get this fight with Shawn Porter. You guys tell me what you think of Terence Crawford saying that he would stop Shawn Porter. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.